Coming up on the This Week in Cougar Baseball Podcast.
They've done a really good job getting to know one another and know each other's story, and I'm really proud of them. I love coaching them. I know our coaching staff loves coaching them as well. One of my favorite things about them is they can be coached, and they can be coached hard, and they can hold each other accountable, and they'll push each other, and that's not as common as it probably used to be, and so we just simply want to push the standard of the program to a place it hasn't been in a while.
This week, we won some games dirty. Some of them weren't the cleanest games, but I think that's something good for our program to see, because maybe last year we wouldn't have won some of those games. But we definitely want to just start cleaning that up a little bit and carry that momentum, and I think that could be really big for us down the stretch.
Alongside the head coach of the Cougars, Nathan Choate, here's Trevor Williams.
Washington State coming off a 5-1 homestand. Cougars had a really good showing at home, have won their last 5 games. Coach, it's great to talk to you. I was really looking forward to this conversation. And to kick it off, just give me your overall thoughts on what was the last week for your baseball team. A tough loss to start it against Oregon State, 18-0, and then your guys bounced back and really never looked back, able to grind out a lot of big victories.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good week for us. Especially, getting embarrassed on Monday against Oregon State, our response on Tuesday, and then Gardner-Webb. I know a lot of people in this part of the country don't know Gardner-Webb, but they went on the road earlier this year and won a Friday game 19-5 at Oklahoma State. And I don't know if people know how hard it is to win at Oklahoma State on a Friday night, especially 19-5. So Gardner-Webb's a good team, and then Portland's a good team as well. So yeah. I was pleased. I thought we got 5 really good starts on the mound. Thought we played a really good defense. Like I said, pitching and defense, they go hand to hand, pitching and defense, defensive pitching, particularly in the infield. And so was really pleased that we played good baseball.
A couple weeks ago when we talked about the schedule leading up, you characterized this part of the season as like this was going to kind of write the story for your guys' year. Coming out of that with a road series win against San Jose State, 5-1 on the homestand, you guys have set yourself up in a place where if you can stick to the process and continue this forward, you can have a lot of success the back half of the year.
Yeah, we've given ourselves an opportunity to play another meaningful game tomorrow against Utah Tech, and then another meaningful weekend at UNLV. And really, that's what it is every time that you stay with the process, you play good baseball and you win, you just give yourself an opportunity to prolong the season more and more. And so each week needs to look like that, and not, hey, we have to do this. There's a lot of people, hey, you got to do this. No, we need to play good baseball, stick with our process on Wednesday against Utah Tech, and then get ready for the weekend. But yeah, I was pleased with the homestand.
To recap the homestand for Washington State, the first game we mentioned, 18-0 loss to number 7 Oregon State. You guys come back to win it 7-6 in game 2 of those 2 games against the 7th-ranked Beavers. And then a day off, a sweep against Gardner-Webb, 3-2, 7-4, 5-3, a lot of well-pitched games in there. And then 9-3 on Monday against Portland for your 5th consecutive win. Let's start with coming off of that Oregon State game, 18-0, not at all what you guys pictured, starting that homestand like. The response from the team from game 1 to game 2 was really special to see.
Yeah, I got a lot of texts after we beat Oregon State, and probably my favorite that I got from someone was, hey, coach, your team really knows how to take a punch. And I know that probably doesn't seem like the biggest compliment, but it is to me. Mm-hmm. It's easy to compete when everything's going your way. But to get absolutely throttled and embarrassed at home against Oregon State the way that we did, and to show up the next day, and we played really well. I mean, I know it was 7-6 and they got a couple runs late, but we played really well that entire game. I thought the belief in our guys, everything that we had done this season, the places that we had gone, the games that we had played in, I really thought it gave them some experiences to lean on and a chance to bounce back. And so, yeah, I was super proud of them. And like I said, to me, toughness matters. And being able to take a punch like that, a haymaker, and get back up off the mat and keep going, I was pretty proud of our program.
The starts from that stretch you mentioned were really phenomenal. And Ryan Falk was the first who started it in that second game against Oregon State. 3 scoreless innings, gave up just a single hit, struck out 5 batters. What was it like to watch him go out and do that? He's really been starting to show up in big ways for you guys.
Yeah, just the way that he went about it is exactly what you want. It was an opportunity and a smile, right? Like he just looked at it as an opportunity to go compete against a really good team and show that he's a really good pitcher. And then the smiles of him, coming off the mound and just enjoying the moment was really neat to see.
And then from all three of your weekend guys, what did they show you in each of their starts?
Yeah, they attacked the strike zone. Gardner-Webb is a team that's trying to elevate the ball. We knew we were probably going to give up a couple home runs, especially with the wind blown out to right center the way it was. We just couldn't give up run home runs with the walks and errors in between. And with the exception of the Saturday game, the third game, we did that in the first, but then we didn't give up a run after that. I thought we did a really good job pitching in, changing speeds, pitching up, down, and pitching more than anything.
Something I was really interested in looking into is Griffin and Luke specifically. Each of them in their starts at home, they have really, really good home numbers at this ballpark. What do you think it is for them about pitching in Pullman that allows them to really achieve at a high level?
Well, I think, they rely on the defense so much. I think we play really good defense at home as well. So I think it's just a comfortability of all of our team. When you give Nick and you give Luke and you give Griffin, all those guys, when you give them compliments, you really need to follow it up real quickly with the defense because those guys would be the first to tell you they try to keep guys off balance and create weak contact, but you have to make plays behind them. And so I think, being on the turf, being familiar at home, our defense does a really good job at home. They know how to play the turf a little bit more comfortably than probably on the road. And so I think that's part of it.
I love getting a chance to ask you when we talk about the defense about your favorite plays. And so challenging you here to stretch this out and think over the last 5 games, but there were so many great defensive plays all over the field for your guys. Are there some that stand out in your mind as plays that really shifted the week?
Yeah, there are a couple double players up the middle that I thought were really big plays. There was a ball to the 6 hole that Kyler made where he dove and got up and threw the guy out. Mm-hmm. I thought, Dane made some really good plays against Portland. Ryan Shawnsby, you just take it for granted, but I think he just picks balls left and right. Brock Blatter making the play, on the ball over at first base. August Ritchie, I'm listing them all here. Ritchie on the comebacker. To end the game, we called a boom ball, right? And the comebacker to turn it right there. There was a lot of really good plays. Ollie made good plays. There's so many. It's hard to pick one or two.
When you talk about Ryan, we talked coming into the year about all the work that he put in the off season, but is it just as simple as that? Is there something in his game that makes him so good defensively at first base? I've described it as a rock this year because he's just everything over there. You feel good when it's going his direction.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. First off, it's a lot of hard work. He's worked his tail off and he's worked hard to be present. But really what it comes down to is he values defense. And in order to be a great defender, you have to value defense. And of all the things this year that I'm the most pleased with defensively, it's the concentration, the focus, and just the want to defensively. Our guys might have a tough at bat, but man, they're getting present defensively in a hurry and they want to go make a play. And it is about making plays. And so, I think with Ryan, he wants to be a great defender. And so if you want to be great at anything, you have to have the want to before the work and all of that. So he wants to be a great defender, and he is.
Switching over to the other side of things at the plate, what did you see from your offense over these last 6 games?
Yeah, Kyler said it was like, Kyler and I were talking about it before the podcast. We won some games a little dirty, right, where it wasn't the cleanest, where we had some opportunities to score some extra runs. But we found a way to, come back at times. We had a chance to tack on, and we did that. And so it wasn't the cleanest. We had some opportunities to put up more runs, but we did enough, and we got a lot of 2-out hits, which was key, right? And so, like I've said, good teams get 2-out hits, and I thought we had some key 2-out hits that really propelled us.
For the bullpen, what did you see from them? Obviously, you get good starts. You got to back it up with really good appearances from the pen, and we saw August Ritchie get honored for the work that he put in this last week. Both he and Scott Ringett up to 4 saves leading the Mountain West. You've got some really good options coming out of the pen.
Yeah, I think both of those guys have done a really good job. They're really reliable. You know that they're going to attack the strike zone. They're both good athletes and can fill their position. And control the running game. Rylan Hyder did a really good job. I thought Tabor fast. We need Tabor to do what he did, especially with him being left-handed. I thought he was a little bit better against Portland. He was on top of his breaking ball a little bit more and was sharper. But I thought all of the guys all weekend long did a really good job. Eric Rodriguez came in and got 3 ground balls and was pretty aggressive down in the bottom of the zone. I thought the entire bullpen did a pretty good job of coming in and attacking.
You're changing Rylan Hyder's life right now with all these appearances where he comes in with a fresh inning and nobody on base.
Yeah, trying to make it a little bit easier for him. We have so much confidence. I have so much confidence in him when there's traffic. We go to him a lot, but have really been trying to give some guys some cleaner innings a little bit just to take some of the pressure off him a little bit.
Another big story in this homestand, Dustin Robinson broke out of his tough stretch against San Jose State, and now he's really kept it rolling at the plate. Even the outs for him are balls that are squared up. They're hard hit balls. I mean, where have you seen it shift for him? It seems like he's a whole different hitter now in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I thought the Sunday game, or I guess it was Saturday because it was Easter, the third game against San Jose State, when he got the base hit up the middle, and then when he hit the home run, it was kind of just a huge exhale by him. You could just see that he got some really important swings for us and really propelled us to victory that day. And so I think that just kind of took some pressure off of him, and each at-bat he looks more and more comfortable again. And, it's a guy that we definitely count on and need. Good to see him fight through that and be in a good spot right now.
We saw Trevor Smith return for you guys this last week. What did you see from him and some pretty significant playing time for him back from injury? Yeah,
trying to, ease him back from a hamstring injury and played him a little bit we didn't play him on Thursday, played him on Friday, played him a little bit on Saturday. And so, going into warmer weather, that should loosen up on him a little bit more. But yeah, definitely a guy we want to get back out there.
Got to ask you how Ollie's doing. We all saw during the game the grabbing for his leg there, and certainly concerned with him having an injury earlier in the year. How's he going?
Yeah, similar. I think just a little tweak of the hamstring a little bit. I think he's going to be okay. I think it probably spooked him more than anything.
Yeah.
And so, I know he's been getting treatment and hopefully get him back here this weekend.
All right, so talking to the team in general, a 5-game winning streak. We've talked before that the process doesn't care about the wins and losses. So had it been 5 straight losses or 5 straight wins, I'm assuming a lot of what you work on going forward is just not trying to do anything different, stay in the process and let the results come to you.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do is, on the mound, in each compartment of the game, each component of the game, we want to throw strikes with tempo. We want to play good defense, and offensively, we want to put pressure. And so we haven't been perfect at that. There's a lot of mistakes that we made this week. And so addressing those and trying to get better and be more consistent. Yes, it's nice to be able to address those after a win versus a loss, but really all you've done is give yourself another opportunity to play good baseball this weekend, and that's what we're focused on.
This week on the podcast, we're bringing in Kyler Northrop as our player guest. And Coach, it's been fun to watch him in the last month especially. He's gotten into a really good groove of getting on base for you guys. Big position switch for him as well, and he's taken that in stride. Can you tell Cougar fans about Kyler the person and what's allowed him to be so effective with all these different things going on around him?
Yeah, first off, he's a phenomenal young man. His teammates love him. Just a good person, super competitive. I'm a father myself, and so I've told his parents this. They've done a great job raising a young man that's super competitive and a great teammate. And so it starts there. And then obviously the athletic ability, you can see he's a very good baseball player. But I think it starts with the makeup first and foremost.
Kyler, thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you on the podcast this week. To start off, how are things feeling? The guys, it's a good vibe right now. You guys are on a nice roll. What's it like on this team right now?
Yeah, the vibes are definitely up for us. It was a big homestand, big stretch for us. And so we're just hoping to carry that momentum into this week and conference play down the stretch.
For you personally, what do you feel like's been working in your game in the last month? It's been basically a month that every game you've been on base and seen your batting average climb 100 points over the last month. What do you feel like is really clicking for you?
Yeah, I feel like I've just simplified things at the plate a little bit and got back to who I really am as a hitter. I feel like early in the season I was kind of getting big a little bit and, swinging at pitches early that probably weren't great pitches. And I feel like I've found success when, I'm just trying to get on base or a work account and, stay simplified and hit a line drive, just being really simple, and it's worked out. So
for people listening, can you explain that phrase a little bit, the getting big? What did you feel like was leading into that, and what does that mean?
Yeah, I feel like I was just trying to do too much a little bit, trying to elevate balls, and that's not who I am as a hitter, obviously. And so just staying low to the middle, line drives, has worked for me, and obviously just, not trying to go up and get a big swing or get a hit, really just trying to get on base and put together a good at-bat.
Coach, Kyler has been important for you guys in this last month, and in the last couple weeks has moved to shortstop. What have you seen from him at this point of the season, working into the middle of the year?
Yeah, he played short all of fall. Gavin was out, and so got a pretty good look at him this fall and how he played shortstop, and I thought he played really well. He was a little banged up right when the season started, and so kind of had moved him around, had him at third, and then had him at second a little bit. And just as we were going through it, just felt like a natural fit to have him at shortstop and Gavin at second. And I think those guys have done a really good job playing up the middle in that spot.
What have you seen from him at the plate?
Well, it depends on the day. Early on, he had some stuff with his ankle that I thought was affecting his swing. He'll never make an excuse, but I'm going to tell the truth. He came back in and he wanted to play right away after being on the shelf for about 3 or 4 weeks with no swings because of his ankle, and it was that left ankle. And so he was spinning off from the front side, kind of opening up a little bit, and he was landing on his heel to protect his ankle a little bit. And so there was some of that going on as well. And then, like he said he was trying to get too big and do too much at the plate. And so I think he's really done a good job simplifying it over the last month, and I was really happy. The ball that he hit up the middle the other day, I was really pleased with that.
As he becomes such a steady producer in this lineup, talk to me about the choice to put him in the 9 spot in the order. I'm sure there's a good reason for that and why you like him there.
Yeah, it turns the lineup over. I think we're going to get really competitive at bats there. Both Trevor, who's been in the leadoff spot, and Gavin, I think both those guys are doing a good job. And so you want to put somebody in the 9 spot that's going to turn the lineup over, that's going to fight and scratch and claw to get on base so that those guys have a chance to drive him in. And so that's why I like him probably a little bit more in the 9 than where he was at in the 7. I think his competitiveness really fits well in the 9 right there.
Kyler, we're coming out of a month that I'm sure you enjoy as a sports fan as well. March Madness, good basketball player growing up. Who's the best basketball player on this team?
That would be me, and I know that Brock Blatter would have a couple things to say about that because, we went to the same high school, played basketball together, but that's definitely a heated debate anytime that gets brought up. But we did ask our high school coach when we were home for Christmas break who would win in a one-on-one, and he said Northrop.
Why do you have to say who would? I mean, it seems like you guys could lace it up and just make it happen.
Maybe when our baseball careers are over, don't want any twisted ankles.
Yeah, I'd prefer those guys to handle that debate another time.
It's a good answer. We'll wait until after graduation for you guys. For you going forward now, I mean, what do you want to build on next in this season? And you guys are on a good run, getting into a really important part of conference play. Where's your mind at going forward?
Yeah, I think that this week, we won some games dirty. And when I say that, I mean, some of them weren't the cleanest games, but I think that's something good for our program to see because I think, maybe last year we wouldn't have won some of those games. But we definitely want to just start cleaning that up a little bit and, carry that momentum. And I think that could be really big for us down the stretch.
What have you noticed from other guys on the infield defensively? And you can speak to the outfielders too and things like that. I mean, I think about Dane Chavez at the end of the Portland game, coming up with a couple big plays there at third. Tell me about that mindset that you guys have about going out and making plays. You guys made a lot of great ones in this last homestand.
Yeah, well, when you talk about making plays, that's our mindset. You never want to try and avoid errors. It's all about making plays. And so if you have that mindset, you're going to be more aggressive in the infield and the outfield. And I think that's really shown as of recent. You know, we have a thing in our program where we do a little hat tip if someone makes a great play. And it just feels like every game we're doing that all the time. And so I just love seeing everyone going out there, being aggressive and not being afraid to make a mistake. And that's where those big time plays show up.
Coach, how have you seen Kyler impacting some of the younger guys, a guy like Dane, and what they can learn and take from him?
Yeah, I think he leads by example first and foremost. You know, he holds himself to a super high standard. There was a ball yesterday that, Gavin was over in the 4-hole a little bit. They communicated ahead of time. He went to second, and we throw the ball away. And he was pretty hot. He was pretty upset with himself. And, that goes a long way when a guy holds himself accountable and holds himself to a really high standard to make every play. When other guys see that, younger guys see that, somebody as talented as he is defensively, and they see him holding himself to that standard, then when you screw up, it's okay to just say, hey, man, that's not good enough. And so I think that's the biggest thing. It's just the standard is the standard. And he expects to make plays, and he expects us to make plays. And he expects us to play good baseball. And so the more people that you get to, on your team to expect us to play to a certain standard, the better off you're going to be.
Kyler, the thing that started the last 5 consecutive wins on the homestand and 18-0 loss to Oregon State, how did you guys talk about that as a group of players going into the second game of those 2 games? It seemed like a really resounding bounce back for you guys.
Yeah, I think that I would just describe that game as just embarrassing. Like, everyone in the locker room just had to wear that one on the chest, and we were not happy that the fans had to sit there and watch that. But coming back the next day, we kind of looked at that as, hey, if we come out today and have a good game and beat a team like this, I think that can say a lot about our group and how we can take a punch and bounce back from it. So we acknowledge what happened, but I think we did a really good job turning the page and seeing this as an opportunity to kind of make a statement about who we are as a group.
You guys have also had in a lot of games this year these starts where as a lineup you can jump on an opposing pitcher. When that's going on, what do you feel like you guys are doing well 1 through 9?
I think we're just trying to pass it off to the next guy. When we have success, we're not necessarily having that big swing right away. It's someone putting together a good at-bat, taking a dose, working a walk, putting together a long at-bat and fighting it off for a hit. And then once the first person does that, the next guy has some more confidence, like, okay, I can do that too. And it's really contagious. So I think when we put up runs early, it's just one guy after the next, and it's really contagious. And then the big thing that I liked yesterday is not only did we get on top of them in the first with 4 runs, but we kept punching throughout the game. And I think that's another really big thing for this group to do.
Yeah, we saw you guys continue to add on inning after inning. Coach, when I hear Kyler talk, he embodies, kind of all of these things that you guys talk about in your program in his answers. It seems like, to me, he would be someone who's really leading a lot of the culture in this program.
Yeah, I mean, he is the program. I mean, the things that those guys believe and do and live in the locker room, culture is such a buzzword in today's world, and you want to put it on a T-shirt and you want to let people have access to see what it is. No, it's people like Kyler that play the game a certain way and live it to a standard. And so, the things that he says he believes, and because he's been through it. Last year he went through some tough times and with some guys, and they've stuck through it, and they fought through that storm together, and they see that, hey, when you do this, this, and this, good things happen. When you don't do this, this, and this, bad things happen. And so, there's no substitute for experience. And so I think what you hear is just his growth and learning, through the process.
How fun is it right now, Kyler? I mean, you guys are in a stretch where you're basically playing every day. You have a few off days mixed in here and there, but it's been a long stretch of games. What's that been like from a player's perspective?
It's been awesome. It's been a grind, but I think everyone on this team just loves playing the game of baseball. And so when we get to go out there and do that every single day, it's pretty fun, and you get into kind of a flow of the season, and you're feeling comfortable as everyone is right now. It's just you get excited to wake up and go to the field every day.
What stood out to you in your experience here so far? How do you feel like you've changed as a player and evolved to where you're at now at this point of the year?
I would just say that when I came in, I think my knowledge of the game is nowhere close to where it is now. I think when you get to this level of baseball, there's so many ins and outs of the game that maybe when you're playing in high school, you don't really think about. And so that mental aspect is a huge one for me. And then just getting confidence, honestly, throughout the last 2 years of just getting at bats and playing every day. And I think a lot of people can come into college baseball and struggle with like imposter syndrome or, thinking that they don't belong. But we're starting to realize that we do belong as a team, and we have a lot of guys that are seeing this success pay off, and it's a pretty cool feeling.
Coach, any last thoughts as we wrap up this conversation with Kyler?
Yeah, no, just, played good baseball this week. But just like if we played poor baseball this week, we need to move forward and get ready for Utah Tech tomorrow. And then UNLV this weekend. And all it is an opportunity for us to go out, play good baseball, and earn some people's respect.
Kyler, it was really fun to talk to you this week. Good luck here coming up against Utah Tech and UNLV. We look forward to seeing you on the road.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Go Cougs.
It was really fun there to talk to Kyler Northrop. And Coach, I say it seriously, the way that he talks, I can feel that leadership and culture, for lack of a better word, but really the embodiment of the pillars of this program just kind of oozing out of him.
Yeah. I think when you get like-minded people in a locker room that want the same things and they work hard and they respect one another, good things can happen. And I think Kyler's a great representation of our program and the people in our locker room. And so, super proud of what he's doing and continues to do and his continued growth.
You've talked before about really enjoying coaching this group. And I think, when we've talked about the bounce back off of Oregon State, you guys have had multiple examples of that throughout the year. The way that guys take coaching and apply it, it seems like you guys have found that right mix of the type of people that you want in the program. Yeah.
They've been through a lot of hard things, a majority of the guys, and everybody has a story. And even guys that came in and transferred in August, they have a story. And I think they've done a really good job getting to know one another and know each other's story. And, I'm really proud of them. I love coaching them. I know our coaching staff loves coaching them as well. They're just a resilient group. And one of my favorite things about them is they can be coached, and they can be coached hard, and they can hold each other accountable, and they'll push each other. And that's not as common as it probably used to be. And so it can get heated at times in a good way. Mm-hmm. And so I think they know it comes from a place, whether it be teammate to teammate or coach to teammate or teammate to coach, Yeah. I think they know that, we care about them, and I think they care about us. And we just simply want to push the standard of the program, to a place it hasn't been in a while.
That made me think of one thing that has been really interesting to watch from an outsider's perspective is how your infielders interact with pitchers and things too, trying to help get those guys when something's not going right. Seen multiple guys around the infield come in, have that one-on-one conversation, take the reins to hold each other accountable. That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I think the infielders in particular have really started to understand that sometimes as a pitcher, you can feel alone on an island on the mound. And so when you hear the term 9-on-1, it's not just the pitcher on the hitter. It's the entire defense. And so I think those infielders have done a really good job going out there and just telling a guy, hey, man, I'm with you, right? You're not alone. Even though you're trying to throw strikes and you're behind in counts, you're not alone. And so they've done a really good job of understanding that, yes, pitching is easier than hitting per se, but it's not easy by any stretch because there's a lot of variables. And so just, making guys feel like they're not alone and that there's people, that's connected with them, I think has been a big deal.
All right, so you guys take this 5-game winning streak on the road now. Utah Tech is up first for you guys tonight. What do you expect from Utah Tech in this game in St. George?
Yeah, they're having a good year. They have a good record. They beat some good teams. So they're going to be super competitive and want to beat us for sure in a midweek. As we've talked about, if we don't play good baseball, we'll get beat. And so we need to play good baseball, ready to go. show up from pitch one, have a good start on the mound. We got Eric Rodriguez starting tonight. It's his first college start. So excited for that. I need to see him attack the strike zone in the bottom half and then play really good defense behind him. And then offensively, take it pitch by pitch and put together quality at-bats and pass it off to the next guy.
What was something you felt like Eric did well his last time out against Gardner-Webb?
I thought he was really aggressive in the bottom half of the zone. And when he's going good, it's a lot of fastball, right? He's a heavy fastball guy. He's a heavy sinker. And so when he's going good, he's getting ground balls. He shouldn't be getting lazy high air pitch after pitch. So I was really pleased, kind of made the decision after that outing when he got a bunch of ground balls, like, hey, I think he'd be a really good matchup against Utah Tech on Wednesday.
And then it feels like an eternity since Mountain West play and that road series win at San Jose State, and you guys are back into it against UNLV. What's your outlook on this weekend series and the challenge that UNLV will pose?
Well, they're 5-7 and they're in the hunt, and so it's a critically important series to both teams, us and them. We can't focus on, hey, it's important, we have to win. We can't. Obviously, we want to win just like they do, but at the end of the day, it's who plays better baseball. And so we need to stay with the process. I think it's important. It's going to be probably a little bit more offensive just because it's pretty, dry. The infield's dry and the ball's going to get through there a little bit. And so really just going punch for punch with those guys and just, whatever it takes and finding a way to win. And so I think Friday, focusing on Friday and finding a way to win on Friday, I think that's going to be pretty telling to the whole weekend.
All right, the Cougars have Utah Tech tonight. You can catch that on ESPN+. We'll be there on the radio Friday through Sunday, 6:05 Friday and Saturday, 12:05 on Sunday on the Mountain West Network as well. And Coach, thanks for the time as always. Really fun to talk to you this week and looking forward to this weekend on the road.
Appreciate it. Go Cougs.